Sure make it hard on ourselves to get to where we want to go, but that was a really good win for our team. Very proud of them. I told them in the locker room that it's starting to sound like a broken record now after last week, and then this game is. I think it's pretty fair to say that the situation we were in and behind, and they did a good job. They had a lot of different things. They could put all their chips out, no matter what their hand was. You know, they could have a poor hand and put them all out. They did the right thing. They were try to win at all costs. Makes it difficult. We were concerned about that. We talked about them having several different fakes and things in special teams, and we were right. We just didn't. We couldn't defend them the way we should have. But guys kept playing. Coaches did a great job with Justin at halftime. Players grabbed the information, took it out there. You know, it was that one wasn't an easy one to come back when you have to throw a few passes. It was raining pretty good out there, and we were able to throw and catch. So I told them I was proud of it. It was a good culture win for us. They're learning how to dig themselves out of the hole, not point fingers at each other. Coaches don't point fingers at each other. They absorb information on the sideline, make changes, take it back out on the field and go play. And then in the end, you know, what can you say? A guy like Rucker that's been around the program and decided to become a leader, works hard, plays hard and competes, and then in the end, the drill, you know, we work on that all the time, like most teams in the country, stripping the ball out. And, he's at the last second gets it stripped out and ends the game. So couldn't be more proud of him and our accomplishment. We did a good job with penalties. We only had 5 penalties for 36 yards. We were good on third downs overall, 7 to 17. Defensively, we were pretty good on third downs, 5 of 15. Obviously, we gave them some points with interceptions, but Ollie was able to run for us in the second half, make big runs, make a couple runs that were somewhat on his own. Found a way to get it done. The last touchdown, that was a heck of a run. Guys rallied back. I was proud of our receivers. I don't think we had any drops today, which is not easy in this weather. So guys competed, ignored the conditions, found a way to get it done. So like I told them just now, they need to be with their friends, be with their families, enjoy this. And they got to come back and go to work tomorrow. We got another one a week from now and no time off. So I told them that I can't control them, just like I can't play for them in games. They got to decide whether they want to play. They got to decide whether they want to be reckless with their body. They got to decide whether they want to compete. I can control the coaches. I can make them work their butt off over the next 5 days, but then they have to make that choice themselves. And I don't think there's any question that they will. They practiced hard last week. They followed the process and did a really good job last week. So that's what we expect from them. We move forward. Proud of the organization, proud of the coaches, proud of the fans that came out in a somewhat miserable day to be a fan and support the team, and they were loud there at the end.
Mike, what about your defense in the second half? They weren't terrible in the first half, but I think 6 possessions they forced punts, and obviously the field goal they forced overtime. But just what changed with the defense?
Yeah, so we had issues stopping the run game in the first half, which obviously, you know, you guys saw that. And we had to make some adjustments. They did a couple things differently. They changed their style of offense a little bit against Oklahoma last week with this quarterback. They run a lot of the triple option stuff, so you got a man down and make sure you got everybody covered. It's not real easy. Can cause some issues. And they got us in the first half on some things, and then at the middle of the second quarter on, Brian made some adjustments with the staff, and then they worked hard in here at halftime, making a couple other adjustments, and they worked. And so from that standpoint, it were good moves on our part, and good moves with the players being able to understand, take it back out on the field.
Mike, you talked about how good this team is at digging themselves out of a hole. Is it kind of confusing that you keep finding yourselves in holes because of the way that you're able to play and show that you're capable of playing?
I heard most of it, but start over again now.
Is it confusing how you end up behind so frequently when you show that you can dig yourself out of it?
Well, the game started really good for us, and we stalled out down there inside the 10-yard line a couple times, which generally concerns me because we should be able to punch it in. And then they hit a drive on us, and then they started the fake field goal. I mean, the fake stuff, the onside and the fake punt and such. And so that kind of minimized and just leveled everything out. And we fizzled out a little bit offensively for about 3 series. We couldn't run the ball effective enough, which when we're not balanced, we're pretty average on offense. In the second half, we changed a couple things, the way we wanted to run the ball, which allowed us to throw more passes. But I don't know why that happens sometimes. We went on a run for about 4 or 5 weeks where we were rolling early. And then lately we've, been pretty average in the first quarter. So, I'd like to be able to get that going the other direction and not make it so hard on ourselves.
Do you think that's more of a mental thing or a schematic thing where you said you're in that 4 or 5 game win streak, y'all were scoring first and scoring often in the first quarter, and basically the past 3 weeks hasn't been that case. Do you think that's more of a mental thing or a scheme thing or the other team coming out? Where do you think that lies?
I mean, if I knew I would fix it, I'm being honest. I'd fix it tonight if I knew. I don't have that answer for you. I'd have to make something up, which I'm good at that, but I'd have to make it up. I don't know what's causing that. Because we were fine in the first 2 drives, right? We went right down, we just stalled out. And see, sometimes what happens is when you do that and stall out, it gives them momentum when it shouldn't. We should have all the momentum, but they're thinking, all we got to do is score a touchdown, we're ahead by 1. And that's what they did.
You mentioned that Ollie got going seemed like they were really determined even later into the game than other opponents have been to take that away. Was it finally just chipping away enough with the throws that it allowed him some space?
When they got ahead, they started playing more pass defense. The safeties were higher, and 2 guys were floating back more instead of 1. In the first quarter, it was 1 guy, right? And they played the way that we said they were going to play. And then once they got ahead by multiple scores, they started playing more pass defense, which allowed us to rush the ball a little more effective. They're trying to use the clock as their friend, which they should.
Had you guys lost this game, it's going to be OU and Texas, 2 teams that are leading the conference, playing for the conference title. How big is it, not only for your program, but for the conference, to have a representative that's staying in the league playing this next week's game?
Well, I'm proud of the Big 12 Conference. I'm proud of the Big 12 Conference that'll be next year. My concern was for our team. I hadn't followed any of I didn't even know what you told me. Was I supposed to know that before the game?
If you guys had lost, is OU Texas.
Oh, well, I didn't even know that, but the Big 12 Conference has shown a lot of strength, and I'm proud to be in it and proud of who's coming into it. And so I never really looked at it that way, but I'm going to guess that the Big 12 Conference is excited about that. And I think it's also good for us, the ones that are staying in the conference. I think that's a positive thing.
Mike, when you look back to September, particularly South Alabama.
I've tried not to.
Yeah,
You keep bringing that up. Every week you're killing me with
But
that.
when you do, and now here.
You're not wanting me to sleep tonight.
2
right?
months later, you're in the Big 12 championship game. Is it remarkable for the team that played that night to be in the Big 12 championship game?
I told them that.
Told the team that?
I didn't use the word remarkable, but I said, just so you know, I said, just think where we were at the end of September. And the reason I told them that was because it's important as we develop and train young men, they understand there'll be things in life that don't work to their favor. And it's amazing what a group of young men and a team can accomplish if they're willing to ignore the outside circumstances, go to work and grind. Just put your head down and grind. Don't worry about anything else. and listen to your coaches, because we got the best information for you. And if you're willing to do that, there's no telling what a group of young men can accomplish. And I think this is about as good an example as ever. You've been watching college football a long time. What odds would you have given us?
I'm not into betting, but I wouldn't have bet $1.
We're not even betting money, just give me an odd. What odds?
1,000 to 1.
Thank you. I would have given you 5,000 to 1 at that point.
With all that said,
And here's why. Because there's an organization of 140 players and 96 personnel. My math's not real good, but that's around 230 something. You gotta get everybody moving in the right direction. It can't be any finger pointing and people bitching and complaining and this and that. And it took everybody moving in the right direction. And that's what they did. That's why the odds are against you. Because human nature's go the other way. Most people take the easy path. It's easy for me to point fingers and complain. I'm gonna take this path because I'm agreeing with everybody. You guys stink, I'm over here. The hard thing to do is to stand tall and do the right thing. That's why the odds are against you, because of human nature.
Leon Johnson was gonna redshirt a couple weeks ago. Goes for 132 tonight. Had a couple big games. What can you say about his performance?
I mean, it was tough on Leon. Because Leon felt like that he could stay in the program with Rob Glass for another 9 months and change his body even more and develop and become faster. But, you know, we talked to him about this is a once in a lifetime experience. And look what he's done, 11 for 132, and that's not counting what he's done in the other games. And when he was playing several weeks ago, we didn't have anybody left that had any experience at all. That's how important he is. So I'm hoping that he can take this with him based on the OSU people need to be thankful for guys like him for what he did. Because he could have said, I want a redshirt. And if he says he wants to redshirt, we really can't tell him no. That's not college football's not that way right now. And I couldn't be any more proud of him. But he's fortunate. He got a good mom and daddy, raised him the right way. And they've given him good values. And then in the end, his core values matched ours, and that's the result you get.
So Mike, since Texas wasn't on your schedule, how aware have you been of Texas as the season has progressed?
Well, we see him on some crossover tape, and then, I mean, I watch him play a few games, not a lot, but obviously Texas is playing at a very high level right now. Texas has good players. Texas has great players. They've always had them. They play at a high level. They're not an easy team to play, but I like my team.
You have a much better sense of the whole of Texas's team in the next couple of days, but you know, you kind of have their number consistently, but do you think this might be the best of the Texas teams you will have faced in that?
This year,
Yeah,
from a
this year's
distance,
team.
without really looking at it, I think it's pretty safe to say they've gone on a, what are they, 11-1? They lost at the end of the game to Oklahoma. I did watch that game. Oklahoma went down the field at the end of the game. Other than that, they rolled pretty good. So I don't even know what they're ranked, but I'm guessing they deserve to be ranked pretty high.
Do you gain any additional satisfaction from bumping OU out of the championship game?
You mean, I don't know, well, I didn't even know they were gonna be in. I didn't know, I didn't know
You know
until
now.
just now. I mean, I'm just like that our team's playing. I've never, things like that don't really affect me much. I don't really care about stuff like that.
Last week you called that game a culture win, you know, big for your team and you know, them moving forward. Tonight you said culture win again. Is there similarities between those two games, between those two wins, or are they two different games that you can learn different things from about your team?
So we were way behind on the road, and I don't need to repeat myself, all the things that I think is important you have to do to come back. And then we were at home in this one, from that standpoint, makes it a little easier. What doesn't make it easier is the conditions weren't very conducive for us to come back. Now, I had asked Dunn to call plays faster. We weren't in a 2-minute, but you know, you gotta call plays faster because the math of the clock is working against us. Clock runs all the time now. It doesn't stop anymore. So we had to move really fast, and then defensively, Brian had to be a little more aggressive, because we can't let them continue to use the clock by getting 2 and 3 first downs. And I think he was really good on that, of getting, like, they had 2 3 and outs, right? In the third quarter. So the play callers on both sides of the ball have their back against the wall when you're behind by multiple scores. Brian's gotta try to get them off the field fast, so he's gotta be a little more high risk, which sometimes is not what it calls for based on the circumstance. Dunn's gotta call plays faster, which is harder, cause you gotta think. And we just, you know, it's not an easy situation. It was well done. In a way, both of them handled it very well. And they gotta make adjustments while they're doing it.
Last couple.
You talked at the beginning about Trey's play, but a year ago, he doesn't play during the regular season, plays the bowl, and now for him to be such a major part of your defense. Just how has he evolved to the point where he's in that position to make that play at the end of the game?
Oh, Rucker?
Yeah.
Rucker's been awesome. You know, he came in here as a transfer, and it took him about a year to learn our culture. How we do things, the way we do them, and why we do them. And once he kind of figured out, I like this, he's just done this, and he's been a great leader for us. Like, he missed 2 tackles early in the game, in the first quarter, like he threw no hitters, bounced off guys. Well, he's been a good tackler. So I go over, look him in the eye, I said, Ruck, man, you gotta tackle and wrap these guys up and get them down. You're a good tackler. And so he accepts the coaching. When he first got here, he might not have. He might have been surly and salty. And that's the transition that he's made over the time he's been here.
Would you see him as,
Let him, go ahead. Oh,
Well, that's me. How do you get this culture to, especially against teams that you favored to beat, how do you get the culture to kick in the first half?
I don't know, that's what I just said, if I had that answer, I would. Now, when I talk about culture, I'm just giving you my experience in being behind by multiple scores for 37 years, and staffs that point fingers and players that point fingers and blame each other, and they're sitting on the bench being sour. We don't have that. Now, I hope we don't have it next year, but sometimes we might have it. It's based on the chemistry of your team and the leaders of your team. Some leaders are not willing to accept that. They're not gonna, some guys let that go. And we and I can only do so much. The players have to take control of that. This group takes control of that.
Last
Did
question.
Rashad Owens, radio said Rashad Owens
awesome.
took over at halftime. What did you do?
I was gonna bring the team up in the middle and talk to him, and he started doing it. And I just said, well, go ahead, let him have it. I went in there with the offense, the coaches. He took the thing over. I don't even know what he said to him, because I didn't have time to stand there and listen, but he wanted to bring him up in the middle. He's been great for us.
Thanks, Coach.
Whatever he said worked, so, I guess. So,